Have you come back down? Have you come back down to the surface now?
Not yet.
Okay. Tell me where you are and what you're doing right now.
I'm still hovering over the nature space that I was in.
Mm. And what do you see as you're hovering over that?
The horses, the river or lake, the mountains, just the solitude of it, the peace of it, and the beauty of it.
So how about if you were to ride on one of the horses? Are you able to do that?
Yes.
Let's do that. Let's get on one of the horses. Pick whichever one you want. Maybe the other one wants to ride along next to you.
Sure.
But get on that horse and let's have that horse take us on a journey back in time or forward in time. Let's get on there, feeling secure and safe. Grabbing onto the horse, feeling one with the horse actually. And whatever you prefer, whether it's walking or trotting or galloping. With every step that the horse takes, we're going to go through. It's almost like you can't see it. It's just like a magic portal in front of you, but it's almost looks like it's almost like plasma or some kind of mirror-like plasma wall in front of you. You find yourself and the horse or the horses stepping through this plasma wall in front of you. And you know you've gone to a different dimension. Notice what it looks like. Notice what it feels like to be in this different place, different dimension. And now riding along as the horse begins to move forward, knowing the destination of where it's taking you to a different time, a different place, where there is information that we can find to help in the very best way possible for this current lifetime. But looking at another aspect of your soul, another incarnation that your soul experienced, to the horse steadfastly moving forward to that destination. Enjoying the beauty and the scenery along the way. Just notice what it looks like. Notice how it feels with the air around you as you ride along in the back of this horse, taking you to another time, another place. Could be a life from the past, could be a life from the future, moving in that direction to another time, another place. Again, just enjoying the journey and noticing all of the sights, all of the sounds, traveling in trust on this horse. Just noticing now as you feel, you just have this knowing that you're close to the destination. Almost like the horse is communicating it to you. It's like an unspoken language, getting closer to your destination. And there's another plasma wall in front of you, like liquid, almost like liquid plasma in front of you. And you see it up in the distance as you move closer and closer to that plasma liquid wall. And now going with the horse and stepping through this one also. Stepping through and into another time, another place, another life that your soul has experienced. And now getting off of the horse. And the horse can absolutely still be waiting there for you to take us to another one when we finish here, but just letting you down now to explore and see this scenery that's around you. And as you come off the horse and step down onto the ground, planting your feet firmly on the ground, grounding yourself there to that time, to that place, almost like you feel roots coming out of the bottom of your feet, just grounding you firmly there. And looking around you and getting a picture or an idea of where it is that you find yourself. Tell me what it is that you see as you look around you now in this place.
It's nighttime. It's dark. It's a rural area. There's a small house. It's a long time ago. It's quiet.
And what about you? Are you able to look down at where your feet would be and tell me what it is that you see as you look down?
I'm wearing boots, tall black boots.
And what about on your legs? What do you have on your legs?
White breeches.
And what about on your top?
Like a coat, like a red coat.
Do you feel like you're carrying anything, or do you have anything on your head?
I have a hat on my head, and I'm carrying like a sword.
And do you feel male or do you feel female?
Male.
Do you feel young or do you feel old?
Young.
Do you feel healthy? Do you feel unhealthy?
Healthy.
Okay, so let's do this, whether you want to walk or ride the horse to where it is that we're going. Either way, let's move to the place that you call home in that lifetime. So we're going to move to there, and we're going to go and stand in front of the place that you call home. So now that you find yourself standing outside of the place that you call home, I want you to describe it for me, what it looks like from the outside.
It's very big and white, and it has pillars.
You see lots of windows?
No, not a lot, just a normal amount.
Is there a porch?
Yes.
Is it a large porch, kind of in the middle, small?
It's large in the middle. It wraps all the way around the whole house. The house is very big. It's more like a plantation type house.
And what color is the door?
It's white.
How many stories?
4. Sorry, no, it's more than that. It's got to be 5.
So very large.
Mm-hmm.
So let's do this. It's mealtime. So we're going to go in the house. So walk into the house now, and it's mealtime. And I want you to tell me, now that we're standing in the house at mealtime, what is happening? What do you see? And is anyone else there with you?
There are lots of people walking around, lots of people busy and getting things together. I can hear voices and people greeting me as I come in. It's very friendly and happy. I'm very busy. It seems like there's a big dinner.
Okay, and let's go ahead and sit down at the table for mealtime. So now we're sitting down at the table for mealtime, and I want you to look around at the table And tell me who else, if anyone, is there with you.
There are people, but I don't know them. I mean, I know them in this life, but I don't know them.
Okay.
There's a woman, and some children, an older gentleman and an older woman, and then a couple that are just friends.
And what about the woman and the children? Do they feel like they're yours, or do they feel like they're not yours? Okay.
Yes.
How many children?
2, boy and a girl.
And now look at your wife and tell me what you think about your wife. What kind of feelings or emotions do you have toward your wife?
Happy. Love.
And what about your children?
Happy and love.
And who do you feel like the older gentleman and the older woman are? Are they family or maybe just friends?
They're family. They're my parents.
And who's serving the meal? Who's putting the food on the table?
The black slaves.
Okay. And what do you feel like you do with the majority of your time during the day?
I'm in the military.
And do you feel like you have an important position in the military?
Very important.
Okay.
I make a lot of decisions, a lot of strategy. It's just strategic.
Okay. So let's do this. We're going to move ahead in that lifetime. We're going to move ahead to a day that you consider to be important, or where something important or memorable is happening. So moving forward to a day where you consider something important or memorable to be happening. And now that we've moved forward to that important day, what is happening? What do you see?
I'm getting married.
Is it the same woman that was at the dinner?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So was this prior to the dinner? Do you
Yes.
think like? Okay. And how are you feeling as you look at your wife?
Really happy. We're
And
both really giddy.
Is it a big wedding?
No, it's small.
Okay. Are you still in the military at that point, or do you feel like you've not quite gotten there yet?
I am in the military.
Okay, so now let's leave that scene. And let's move forward in time, whether it be weeks, days, months, years. Let's move forward to a day that you consider to be important, where something important or memorable is happening in that lifetime. So we've now moved forward to an important day. What is happening? What do you see?
My wife's giving birth to our son.
Are you in the room or outside of the room?
I'm in the room now. They're handing the baby to me, but I was outside before.
Okay. And what are you thinking?
That it's an amazing, I'm overwhelmed with happiness and joy and excitement and concern for my wife.
Is there something going on with your wife that's making you concerned?
No, just that I'm concerned for her well-being.
Oh, got it. Okay. But the baby's healthy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, let's leave that scene now. And let's move forward to another important day. a day you consider to be important or something memorable is happening. And we've now moved forward to another important day. What's happening? What do you see?
I'm receiving some sort of medal or badge or something from the military for my service.
Do you feel a lot older than you were when you were sitting at that dinner, or how much older do you feel like you are now?
Maybe a year or two.
Okay. And how are you feeling as you get this badge or Medal of Honor?
Grateful, purposeful.
Okay, now we're going to leave that scene and move forward to yet another important day, a day that you consider to be important or memorable when something's happening. And we've now moved forward to that important day. Tell me, what is happening? What is it that you see?
Well, now it's the birth of my second child, my daughter.
And what are you doing?
Laughing because she's tiny but healthy. And my wife is healthy and happy.
Okay, so now I want you to move forward to the time in that lifetime just before you take your last breath. So moving forward to the time just before you take your last breath in that lifetime. And I want you to tell me, where are you? What do you see? What's going on around you?
I'm in my home and I've been wounded in battle. And my wife is there with me, with my children, and my grandparent, or my parents. And I'm not in any pain.
Where were you wounded?
On the battlefield.
Where on your body were you wounded?
In the chest area, like the right torso area.
And what are you thinking as you lie there and look at your wife and your parents and your children?
It's too soon.
Are you concerned or worried about them at all?
No, we wanted more time. We were very happy. We are very happy. We want more time. A lot more time.
And is your wife crying, or what is she doing?
She's actually smiling. She's not crying.
What about your children?
My children are crying. I'm crying. But we're also laughing because we believe we'll be together at some point again. And she says, I'll come look for you. I'll find you. And when she says that, then I'm able to let go and peacefully leave my body.
So now that you've left your body and you're looking down at the whole scene, what do you see? What are you thinking and feeling?
There's a lot of love. And that they will be okay. But she'll never love anyone like she loved me. And that I will protect my children.
And what do you mean? How are you going to protect your children?
I'm going to be on the other side and make sure that their paths are smooth for their life.
And because every life has a lesson and a purpose, as you look at that life, what do you feel like you learned from it?
Duty.
Anything else?
Love.
Anything else?
Service.
Anything else? Or is that it?
I don't know if there's a lesson. I just know that in that life, I had unbridled happiness.
Mm.
And even though my death was violent, it wasn't painful. It wasn't scary, but it was too soon.
Do you feel like it was unplanned, or do you feel like your soul planned that to be your exit point on some level?
It was a mistake.
Oh. What do you mean by that?
I wasn't supposed to die. I wasn't supposed to get shot. But I protected somebody else, another soldier. I shielded him with my body. And so he lived and I died. He was younger. And I wanted him to have a chance. Because I had experienced so much happiness and love up to that point that I knew I really felt what it felt like, and I wanted him to.
And so what do you do now that you've left your body? Do you stay around with your family for a while? Where do you go? What do you do?
I don't really know. I can't really articulate it. I just know that I have a connection to the children and to my wife, but not as much because I want her to be able to move on and marry again or find love again. So she and I are complete and we're okay with that. But with the children, I energetically keep my eye on them or keep tabs on them.
So do you feel like you go up someplace? Do you feel like you go with a white light? Do you feel like you stay around more on the earth plane? What does it feel like you do next as you keep an eye on your children?
I hover around on the earth plane.
Okay.
Because it was so soon and I wasn't supposed to go, I've been allowed to hang out and watch over them as if I were there in person. Because in that life, it was all about duty and purpose. And I hadn't fulfilled my purpose as a father on the earthly plane. So I get to continue it because of my sacrifice in the ethereal plane.
So what does that look like as you wander around? Are you with them all the time? What does that look like? I mean, because I'm assuming eventually they both get older and go on their own paths. I mean, do you kind of go back and forth between them, or what does that look like?
After they are grown and I'm able to give them as much information as I can and wisdom,
Yep.
we made an agreement before I passed that if they ever needed me, they could just call my name and I would hear them and I would help them. So after they're grown more, they don't need as much help. So I feel that I'm not so energetically tied to them. I'm able to just dissipate into nothingness.
What does that feel like or look like when you say dissipate into nothingness?
It's like spreading out particles, molecules, energy, all into the air, the ether, the space. It just becomes quiet.
Mm-hmm.
It's as if I get reabsorbed back into that same piece of nature that I experienced.
And where do you go from there? What do you feel like happens to you next? Do you just kind of float along? Where's your next destination?
I no longer have consciousness. I no longer have any more destination. There's no more identity. There's no more attachment.
So do you feel like you get absorbed back into all that is?
Yes, that's it. It's like the end of a chapter. You close the book.
So tell me if I'm wrong, so instead of feeling like an individual soul, you feel like you are part of everything.
Yes.
And so let's do this. Let's go either forward or backward now, but let's go and explore and move away from that, being absorbed back into all that is. And again, moving either forward or backward, let's find another appropriate time and place that has information that you need. And however you want to get there, if you want to go back on the horse and go through another plasma wall into another dimension, into another lifetime, or you just want to have the molecules and the particles reconnect and float through the atmosphere and go to another time and place, however you visualize that happening. Let's move forward or backward and find another appropriate time and place that has information that you need. And so now that we're there, we've come to another time, another place, another incarnation. I want you to look around for me and tell me what it is that you see.
I'm here.
You're in New York?
I'm in this life.
Ah, okay. So let's do this then. Let's go back to the horse that we left sitting there, standing there waiting for you. Let's go back to the horse and let's mount up on that horse again. So getting back on, feeling the comfortable feeling of being on that horse once again. And let's have this beautiful creature move forward again and take you to another time, another place, another life. either before the one where you were the soldier or after the one where you were a soldier. Maybe it goes into a different dimension and it's not even on the earth plane. Whatever feels most relevant as a time and place to explore where there might be information that could help you. And you see another plasma liquid wall in front of you. And just notice what it looks like and feels like as you walk through that plasma wall into yet another time and another place. And then getting off the horse again, feeling your feet firmly planted on the ground once again in this different time, this different place. Feeling yourself grounded there, like roots growing out from the bottom of your feet, grounding to that place, being firmly there, firmly in the body there. And looking around you, tell me what it is that you see.
Not really sure yet. I'm not seeing anything right now.
Okay, that's not a problem. Let's go back on the horse then. So getting back on the horse. And now that you're fully on the horse, let's just begin to go at a slow trot, moving forward. And knowing that this horse is taking you to yet another destination and just observing the scenery around you as you see it go by and feel the wind in your face as the horse trots forward, knowing that it's taking you to a destination with information that would be helpful for you. And feeling yourself going up and down on the horse, feeling a purpose, feeling a pulling to a certain time and a certain place. And once again, you see another plasma wall up in the distance. So you keep trotting forward. Again, just enjoying the scenery around you as you move closer and closer to that plasma wall. Feeling the breeze. And now that you've come up again to that other plasma wall, the horse starts to move down to a walk. And you find yourself and the horse once again moving through this plasma wall and stepping out on the other side to a completely different place. It may look normal, it may look familiar, it may look very unfamiliar, very foreign to you. Whatever it looks like, just notice what you see around you. And as you get off of the horse now that you're on the other side of this wall, leaving the horse there to wait for you again, dismounting and planting your feet firmly on the ground once again. Roots growing out of the bottom of your feet, becoming grounded in that scene, in that time, in that place. And looking around you, or if you choose to look down at where your feet would be, tell me what it is that you see.
I see white sand and my feet are barefoot. And I'm wearing like a long white cotton dress.
And what's the weather like?
Warm and hot and sunny.
And do you feel female then, since you have a long white cotton dress on?
Yes.
Do you feel young? Do you feel old?
Youngish. I mean, adult, but young.
Do you feel healthy or do you feel unhealthy?
Very healthy.
And is there anyone or anything around you, or is it just white sand all around you?
White sand, but off in the distance is like a little, at the shore is like a little hut, sort of like luxury resort hut.
And let's do this. Let's go to the place, whether you call it home or a vacation spot, wherever it is that you're there at that beach, that white sandy beach. Let's go to the place where you're staying or that you consider home in that lifetime. And let's move forward and stand right in front of it. And now that you're standing right in front of it, I want you to describe it for me. What does it look like from the outside?
Um, it's made with wood. It's made so that there's a lot of open air, a lot of white gauze, curtains blowing. It's goes out on like a ledge so that there's water underneath that you can see. And it's very simple and clean, and there's like a hammock that you can lie in. White sheets on the bed, mosquito net over that bed.
And do you feel like you're alone in there, or do you feel like you're staying with someone? Someone else is there?
I'm currently alone, but there's someone there with me, a man.
Okay, so let's go to a time in that house now that you're there where the man enters the home. And describe him for me and tell me what you think and feel about this man.
He's dark hair. I have dark hair. But he's angry and he like wants to strangle me.
So what happens next? Tell me about that scene.
It's pretty scary.
You can actually pull yourself out and look at it as an observer. If you don't want to actually feel it, you can look at it as an observer from a third person point of view. But tell me what happens there.
So he comes at me. He's like jealous about something, about some other guy. He's got some like rage problems. And so he's thinking that I'm trying to leave him, and I'm not. And I was perfectly happy before he showed up. And then he starts to strangle me. But I kick him off and I scream at him to leave. And so he grabs his bags, and he does. And I feel numb.
Are you shocked of what just happened, or has he had issues like this with you before?
Shocked.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's leave that scene and let's stay in that lifetime, but we're going to go to a day where you consider something important or memorable is happening in that lifetime. So we've now moved to another important day or memorable day, and tell me what's happening there.
Graduating from high school.
Okay, what does that look like? Do you have anyone else there with you?
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. Like it's a friend from my high school.
Doesn't have to make
So
sense. Okay. Okay, so let's leave that scene and let's stay in that same lifetime where you were that young adult female, healthy, on the white sandy beach. And you've already experienced the time where that man that you were happy with shocked you by trying to strangle you. And he's gone, he's left. So let's move forward from that point, moving forward either weeks, months, days, years. So moving forward from there to a time or a day that you consider when something important or memorable is happening in that lifetime. And now that we've moved forward to that important day, tell me what it is that's happening. What do you see?
I'm getting married.
Okay. Tell me about that.
Getting married, it's in a church. I'm wearing a very intricate lace dress. I'm in Paris. I have dark hair. I'm French. And my future husband is very tall.
And what do you think about him as you look at him and you're getting married?
Excited and happy, taken care of, protected, loved, calm.
Okay, so let's leave that scene, leaving there, and we're going to move forward in that lifetime, days, weeks, months, years. We're going to move forward to an important or memorable day, a day when something is happening. And we've now moved forward to an important or memorable day in that lifetime. Tell me what it is that you see, what's happening.
Giving birth to a little baby girl.
Is she healthy?
Yeah, I'm healthy. He's healthy. My husband, meaning my husband, I'm healthy. Everything's good.
Is he happy, your husband?
Yeah, he has tears in his eyes.
Okay, so let's do this. Let's leave that scene now in that lifetime, going forward in time, in that lifetime to another important day where something is happening. And so now we've moved forward to another important day. Tell me what it is that's happening. What are you doing?
Burying my father. He was in his 80s. It was like 88, 89. He served in the military and he's being buried with honors.
Is your husband and your daughter there with you?
Yes.
Is your daughter much older or is she still an infant?
No, she's a toddler. She's about 2-3 years old.
And what do you feel like in this lifetime that you spend the majority of your time doing during the day?
Being a mom and a homemaker.
And what about your husband?
He's a lawyer.
And is he good at what he does?
He's a good one. He's a really good man too. He's like a really, really good, honorable, moral man. He fights the good fight. I'm proud to be his wife.
Okay, so let's leave that scene now. And now we're going to move to the time in that lifetime just before you take your last breath. So moving forward to that time And now that we're there, just before you take your last breath, tell me what it is that you see, what's happening.
I see my daughter and her husband, and they have a new baby, a grandchild. But I'm in my 90s, and my husband passed before me. And I'm just plain old tired. I'm just tired, but happy. And I feel complete and fulfilled.
So now let's move to the time where you've already taken your last breath and you're looking down at your body, you're looking at the scene. Tell me what it is that you're thinking. What do you see? What's going on?
That I've done a really good job as a mother. That I feel my life was a joy. It was a joy. And that I feel released of any attachment. Of that plane. My work is done.
And every life has a lesson and a purpose. And as you look at that life, what do you feel like you learned from it?
The value of motherhood.
Anything else?
That love is real.
Anything
And
else?
everlasting.
Anything else?
The earth is beautiful.
Anything else? Or is that it?
And when something doesn't feel right, to get out immediately and never look back. Always move forward.
And what do you think your purpose was in that lifetime?
To be a mom.
Mm-hmm. And experience those things that you did?
Mm-hmm. And to raise my daughter in the way that I did.
Okay, so what happens now? Where do you go now that you said you feel released from that plane? Where do you go now? What do you do?
I rest.
What does that look like?
Similar to the other life where I just get reabsorbed back into that infinite energy, divine energy, or peace. It's peace. It's just peaceful. There's no agenda. I have no agenda. So I choose not to come back in anything. I just choose to be in peace.
Well, let's go ahead and drift away from that life. We're drifting and floating away from that life and leaving that woman there to continue on with her own journey. She will find peace. She will find what she's supposed to find. We're leaving her there to continue on her own journey. Leaving there to her to continue on her own path. And now I want all of the consciousness and personality of Jody to once again return to the body and fully integrate back into the body. And may I speak to Jody's higher self, please?
Yes, we're here.
Do I have permission to speak to Jody's higher self?
Yes, you do.
I respect the power of the higher self, and I know that Jody's higher self takes care of her body and does a very good job of it. And I also know that her higher self has the records of everything that's ever happened to her in this lifetime and all other lifetimes that she's ever lived. So I respect the power of the higher self, and I always ask for permission to ask it questions. Do I have permission to ask questions of her higher self?
Yes.
I know her higher self could have brought forth many different lifetimes for her to see today. What was the purpose of showing us the lifetime where she was the married gentleman who was in the military?
To show her the immense courage and strength she's inherited from that life and purpose.
And what about the life as the blissful, happy mother? What was the reason you showed her that lifetime?
So that she could know what real love feels like when she sees it in this time. She'll know when she meets energetically the same match as that woman had and as the man had. Both of those marriages are the kind of marriage that Jody in this life has desired but hasn't been able to find.
Why hasn't she been able to find that? Is there something blocking that from happening?
Yes, the trauma she's experienced as a child.
So there is a man out there that is the one she's supposed to be marrying in this lifetime?
100%, absolutely. He's going to blow her mind. He's going to be something she never thought existed, a different kind of relationship experience that she never thought possible.
So what does she have to do in order to get to the same frequency, I guess, or the same place that he's at so she can manifest him in physical form into her life?
She will need a lot of help in releasing all the debris from the trauma and the broken fragments of herself, the fear, the panic. She's going to need to see on a daily basis that God loves her and that God is supporting her and that she hasn't done anything wrong to deserve what she went through. It was a mistake what happened. It wasn't supposed to happen. It was supposed to happen to somebody else. And much like her other life, she took the bullet for somebody else. She did it again in this life, and she wasn't supposed to. And that's why she's so angry. And that's why she's so full of rage. And that's why she's so sad. She protected somebody else.
But she chose to do that on a soul level?
No,
So how did it end up happening then?
by force.
Oh, tell me about that. How did that work?
Another energy forced its energy on her, and she wasn't skilled enough to deflect it.
And so expand on that further. So when you say another energy forced its energy on Jody, how did they do that? Was it when she was sleeping, when she was awake? Did they do it in the spirit realm? Like, how did that happen?
It was a glitch. It was a glitch. Somehow there was a glitch. She didn't ask for it. She didn't sign up for it. It was a mistake.
So it was not part of her pre-birth plan to have
No.
So is that common? Can that happen on does it happen on a pretty frequent basis that things like this take place, or is it just more of an anomaly?
In this time and space, it's happening all the time now.
Oh.
Which is why there's so much chaos and confusion.
So why did this other entity choose Jody?
Because she's open and available.
And when did that happen? Before she was born, at birth, after birth?
She came in open and available.
But I'm saying, when did the other energy or entity force its energy on Jody?
When she was a child.
Was it before the first incident of sexual assault?
No, that was it. That was it.
That's when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the glitch happened and things kind of went awry, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. And that's why she didn't remember anything for so long, because it wasn't part of her soul contract. So she chose to just file it away.
So did things kind of like a train going off the track? Is that where things went off the track and they just stayed off the track?
It went off the track, and then it was difficult and a challenge for her to stay on the path because of that glitch.
So you say that this is happening more and more now. Why is this type of thing happening more and more on the earth plane?
Because no one's warning them that it can happen.
And so how do you warn a 4-year-old that something like that could happen? Do you mean on a soul level versus a physical level? Or do you mean parents?
Both. You can't ignore the dark and pretend it's not there and expect to be protected from it.
So what can people do to protect themselves and their children? And does Jody still need protection from that type of thing happening further to her?
Yes. She still needs protection. We're offering her protection. Children need to be seen and heard and believed and watched and observed more. Children have way more answers than adults give them credit. A child knows the truth. But a scared child will lie.
So just kind of as protection for parents and their children in this lifetime, should parents be shielding their children spiritually?
Yes.
And what about Jody? Is that something she should also be doing, or just adults in general also be shielding themselves?
She's protected. We've got her. But
And
she's fought enough battles. She needs peace, serenity, quiet, calm, no pain, no striving.
would it be, this is just an idea, but would it be beneficial for Jody to, in her meditation, to picture herself being back part of the all that is, the place and the space that she went to in between those other lives? Would that be a place of calm and peacefulness for her to just kind of get that rest and that quiet and that peace that you said she needs?
Yes, if she can do that. She's in a hypervigilant state. She's been through so much trauma. We're just trying to get her stable. She almost died so many times through this. We're just trying to get her to trust again.
And are you able, so does she, well, let me ask this, does she have a hard time trusting in the universe, that it's taking care of her?
She does now.
Are you able to pull that distrust from her and download instead the program of, download the program of Creator's definition of trust?
Yes, we're able to if she's willing.
Okay, if she's willing, could you do that now, please, and tell me what you're doing as you do it?
Okay. She's willing. She's scared. We don't really know how to do this, though.
Could you just put into her subconscious Creator's definition?
Yes, we can do
Trust. Okay, thank you. Could you do that now, please, and tell me what you're doing as you do it?
that. Well, we've never done this before, so just saying that we've downloaded it
Okay.
is the process.
Okay, wonderful. Does she fully trust that there is healing that can occur to her? Or does
Yes,
she? Okay.
she does.
Okay. So belief or faith in healing is not an issue for her, correct?
No, it's just that it's been taking so long and she's still in pain. So she's confused.
And why has it been taking so long?
The damage that was done to her on a physical level is so extreme that it's going to take time for the body to reorganize and restructure what was broken and broken down. And then the debris. Recalibration of every single body system and function is what is in order. She was attacked from head to toe. It was a brutal, vicious attack.
Who was she attacked by? Or what?
The virus.
Is the virus a quote unquote natural occurring virus, or was it man-made?
Not at all natural. It was engineered.
Was it meant to have these kinds of effects, or is this more like it was engineered and let's see what kind of effects it has on people?
It was meant to kill.
So the virus itself has not necessarily killed a lot of people when you would consider something to be a pandemic, so to speak, like if we think of the Black Plague and things like that. Was it meant to be more virulent and deadly than
It's not done yet.
Oh.
It's going to be more deadly.
Are they making new strands, or is it just mutating on its own, or what's happening in that regard?
It's mutating on its own, and those countries that aren't able to control it through vaccination or other means are going to suffer.
Is the vaccinations that are out now, are any of those safe for Jody's body? And would they help her?
Not the current ones.
What about the new one that Jody has heard of and that has her curiosity, which is called the Novavax? Is that one, could that give her some sort of protection?
It could, but she needs to not get it first. She needs to let some others get it and see what their reactions are. But it won't hurt her.
It won't necessarily help her, but it won't hurt her. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Will it offer her any type of protection?
Yes.
Is Jody able, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But she has to wait a bit, about a month, to see what others' reactions are, and then she can get it if she wants.
Does Jody have the ability to, or do you as her higher self have the ability to give her the same kind of protection that a vaccine could give her from a spiritual standpoint, where she wouldn't have to take the vaccine? Is that possible for you to give her that type of protection?
She would have to leave the environment that she's in right now.
What environment is that?
New York.
And so what's going on with her living in New York?
It's just too overpopulated. It's too difficult for her to navigate away from the virus. The variants are going to wreak havoc.
Was it planned by the people who designed the COVID virus that it would mutate and become more deadly? Was that part of their plan, or is that just kind of an after effect they're noticing?
All viruses mutate, so it was a given that it would.
And you mentioned that the current vaccines, that none of them are good for her. Are the current vaccines good for anyone, or what's the agenda behind the current vaccines that are out there? Is it good? Is it negative? What can you tell us about that?
Good for those that don't have underlying conditions that would increase their immune response, inflammatory response.
And so a lot of people don't necessarily know if they have underlying health conditions. Would you say that's a true statement or not a true statement?
Correct. And if they don't know, then it can be a problem.
So I want to talk about the lessons, maybe, are there any lessons for Jody in this sickness that she's been experiencing for the past 4 months? Are there any lessons in any of this for her? Any growth?
She's not able to comprehend a lesson at this point because she's still dealing with so much pain. The lessons won't come until after the healing. She has it backwards. She thinks she has to learn a lesson and then receive the healing, but it's the other way around. She's able to receive healing and peace and health, and then she'll be able to understand the lesson. She's working too hard and making this too difficult. She can trust in the knowingness that she is being healed and she doesn't have to do anything to receive that healing. There's no lessons for her to learn through this. It's only after, in retrospect, will she then see it and she'll smile. But there's no working at this restoration. She can't work her way into it. She just needs to activate it and receive it.
You said she needs to activate it in order to receive it. Are you able to activate this for her right now?
Yes.
Could you do that, please, and show her what that looks like as you're doing it? Or if it's just activating it.
I can't really show her, but I can say I'm activating full, total, complete, cellular healing on every level. Body, mind, and spirit. Aura and body and subtle body. Dense body. Removing of all blocks towards healing, all misconceptions about healing, all effort towards healing. Removing prejudices of healing, the fear of healing, the fear of COVID, the fear of relapse, the fear of not sleeping. This is nothing to do with her. This is not her. Once again, these are things that she's adopted. They are not of her soul plan. They need to move out now.
Are you able to move them out now?
Yeah, she's let go of them. She's dropped them. So we're just sweeping them all out as a janitor would out the front door.
Have all the pieces been swept out?
There's a couple fragments, so we're just going to take a blower and just blow it out. And then we'll shut the door, and then the house is clean.
I never cleaned my house with a blower before. I love that though. She said that because her body had always been so healthy before, that was her home, like her body was her home, and she felt like COVID burned down her home and she didn't have that safe space anymore, that she's basically standing on scorched earth and has post-traumatic stress disorder and great anxiety and like fear from all of this. Are you able to give her a sense of safety back in her body again and remove the post-traumatic stress disorder from her?
We can, but there's a lot.
Can we take the big chunk of it and do that right now? Are you able to do that for her?
Yeah, she just handed it over to us, so we're taking it. She just keeps handing more. She doesn't want any of it.
We have as much time as is needed in order for her to hand it all over to you if that's what she wants to do.
So Sage's pushed over like boulders of trauma. Like they look like tumors. They're like boulders, tumors. And she just handed them all over to us and said, take it.
So they're all removed now, the trauma?
Mm-hmm. We've cut the cords. It's pretty messy. But yeah, they're gone.
So the post-traumatic stress disorder should not be a problem for her in her life anymore?
We want to believe that, but there's so much discord going on in this earth. This place might be too dense for her.
Is there more discord on the earth right now than has traditionally been here, or has it always been kind of chaotic like this?
The chaos that's currently happening, there's always been chaos, but the rapid speed of it and the frequency is more now than ever.
Why is that?
Much like dinosaurs, certain species or certain dynamics, certain paradigms have been multiplying on top of each other. And it's too much frenetic energy.
And who's behind the multiplying of that chaotic energy?
Each individual person on the planet.
So are you saying that someone having chaotic energy and fear kind of feeds into collective consciousness, so to speak, and it's picked up by others and multiplied from there like a virus?
Yeah, it's a selfish energy though. There's too much selfishness on the planet. Too much greed. Everybody wanting more. When the earth is given so much, it can't give anymore.
So is Earth ascending and will this energy be disappearing? And if so, how will it disappear? I mean, it seems like it can't continue that way, can it?
It doesn't, but we don't know what, nobody knows what each person will choose to do.
So are you able to give Jody a sense of safety once again in her body?
We're trying. She's having a hard time.
What's blocking it from happening?
She thinks we're responsible for not protecting her. She's angry.
So she thinks her higher self is responsible?
Yeah.
Are you?
No.
So who's responsible? Is there someone responsible, something?
No.
Are you able to remove that block and show her or download into her the truth of the fact that it's not her higher self and that she can trust her higher self?
Yes, we can do that.
Will she be able to feel safer in her body now as a result?
She's safe now.
Would that be something that would be good for Jody to kind of just daydream, meditate about, just picturing her being safe in her body? Would that be something that can help reinforce it for her?
She needs to go to locations where she feels it energetically.
And you're saying New York is probably not that place where she feels safe energetically anymore?
Saying she needs to go to places where there's more calm, energetic, quiet place. We're trying to articulate it. More nature.
But I want to go back to the New York thing because you said that New York may not be the best place for her now. Is that just because of COVID, or is she supposed to be someplace else? Is New York no longer where it's at for her?
She has nowhere else to go. Until something else shows up, this is where she has to be.
So it's okay for her to be in New York for now?
It's a challenge, but we'll try to make it safer for her and more comfortable. But she won't be here forever. She'll be here maybe another year or two.
So the man that she's going to meet, is he in New York or is he someplace else?
No, he's someplace else. She doesn't know him.
So she'll end up moving when she meets him?
Yes. They'll keep this apartment, but won't live in it full time. And then she'll eventually let it go.
And is there anything else you can tell Jody with regard to the man that she's going to meet and fall in love with regard to how she can prepare herself?
No, she's right on track.
Okay. What information does Jody need to know from her future self to move forward from this place that she's at right now? Do you have any messages from her future self?
Future self just said it's closer than you think. She's excited that I'm moving in this direction. She's cheering me on, saying, "You've got this, don't worry, you're almost at the finish line. It's like a month away, a month or two away, you're almost there. We're almost home. I'll hug you when you get here. Stay the course. You're doing amazing."
Wow. So she is on track.
Yes, she's on track. She can't get off track.
And why do you say that?
Because she's already, she's burnt through so much karma through this, or past experiences. She's just burnt through so much suffering that it's just like home free.
And when you say she's burnt through so much karma, was there suffering that her soul wanted her to experience in order to balance some karma?
It was more that it's like a deck of cards, and the cards she got dealt were terrible cards, but she played them so brilliantly, she's leveled up. She played them with such bravery and such courage and truth and honesty. It was an extraordinary feat what she did and is doing. So she has garnered huge, huge, huge reward. Like, the payoff is huge. So maybe it was in that past life that she doesn't even really, Jody doesn't really recognize past life. She doesn't really understand it. But she agreed, not knowing how difficult those cards would be, to play that deck and to play that hand. And the reward and the payoff is huge, enormous.
And one of those enormous, amazing rewards is the man she's going to meet and have a happy life with.
And the peace she will experience, the peace, happiness, laughter, joy, groundedness, serenity, security. She will experience heaven on earth for the rest of her life. She took those cards, knew what the payoff was, got rough and tumbled through it, and then remembered what the payoff was.
So did she know on a soul level all of this, what you're describing, that she would go through this really difficult time, that it was kind of like, even though it wasn't meant to happen, or if it was just like a glitch and all this stuff went awry, did she kind of like a GPS just kind of re-navigate a different way and go, aha, but if I take this
Yes,
silly
that's
route?
exactly what she did. That's exactly what she did. There was a detour. it took her down a different path. It was a really weird detour, potholes, obviously. But she's recalibrated and she's back on track. And she's the future self. The future self was gorgeous and just calling her forward and saying, "You're almost there. Keep coming. Keep walking. I know this doesn't make sense. I know this is unbelievable. But you're about to win big. Permanently. No more tests, no more trials, no more struggles, no more confusion. No more fear. Such wisdom. Wisdom.
Does this wisdom that she's gaining from this lifetime and this experience add to the wisdom of her higher self, or how does that work?
The wisdom is for those around her to hear.
Is she meant to share this experience with others after she's on the other side at some point?
Other side of life or other
The
side?
other side of sickness, meaning on this earth and this lifetime.
She's first supposed to enjoy it for a while. And then she can share it if she chooses to.
So you're saying, I just want to go back just a little bit. You're saying that this whole life basically that she's experiencing was not part of her original soul contract. It was a recalibrated or readjusted based on the experiences that were when her soul contract was hijacked, so to speak.
She misunderstood in the beginning. She misunderstood. She didn't realize what she was signing up for.
So
But she accepted it. She accepted it, even though it wasn't what she wanted.
So if I go back to that instance when she was 4 years old and you said that that's where things kind of got off track, is that dark energy that's on the earth that can basically hijack our soul contracts and our plans and lead us into a different direction than what we had originally planned before we came down here, that type of stuff?
It can do that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if that dark energy, which can hijack and attach, if the person who's received that doesn't break that bond or that attachment, if that person identifies it with it and makes it part of their identity, then it's hard for it to get released so that the person can be recalibrated back on track. But because Jody had the moment and the thought that she did not want to be chronically ill for the rest of her life, that's not part of her identity. It's what she experienced for a short time. So she was able to wake up and remember, that's not my identity. And she was able to connect back to her true life's path. And she's done this numerous times in this life.
So if you say she's done this numerous times, does that mean her or just people in general can get attacked numerous times by dark energies that throw us off course, and it's up to us?
Yes.
To get back on track?
Yes.
Okay. Is she still carrying any shame that started at the age of 9 when she was molested at the swimming pool?
Is she carrying what?
Any shame. She said she felt shameful.
Yeah, embarrassment. Yeah, she is.
She's still carrying that?
Yeah.
Are you able to remove that from her and instead just replace it with love and light?
Yes. The problem with Jody is she wants answers.
Okay. What can you tell us about that? Why did that happen to her?
We don't know.
Okay. Was it again something that was part of her soul plan, or was it not part of her original soul plan?
It's not about her original soul plan.
Okay. So are you able to help Jody be okay with not understanding the why behind it?
Yes.
Could you do that now and help her understand that it's okay not to always have to know?
Yes.
And are you able to remove the shame from her that she accepted when that happened?
Yes.
Have you done that now?
Yes.
And then when she was 12 years old, there was a worker that came into her house and kissed her, and she felt afraid to tell her parents. She felt disgusted and like she was at fault, and that maybe subconsciously she might have caused it. She felt unsafe, unprotected. Is she still holding on to any of those feelings from that encounter when she was 12?
Somewhat, yes.
Are you able also to help her to remove those feelings of guilt, I guess, that she was holding on a subconscious level, that she maybe attracted it in some form?
Yes.
And help her to be okay with it?
Yes.
Is it important for her to know the why or to just let it go? Is that better?
She just needs to know it's on their karma, not hers. She's free. They'll have to deal with that.
She has been feeling like life is one big trauma response, and she's living to avoid triggering her trauma instead of thriving. Is she about at the end of this? Like you said, her higher or her future self is calling her forward. Will that come to an end, or is there something you can do to help her get over living life as a big trauma response?
We will work with this with her over the course of the rest of her life, and it will be incremental. If we were to do it all at once, she would not be able to function. But each day it will be less and less.
Okay. Are there any upgrades to Jody's body that you could give her right now that would assist with this whole healing process and maybe even speed it up?
Yes, she won't understand what it is, so I can't explain it, but we are in the process of doing this right now.
So it's like, is it like a full body upgrade?
Yes, we are actively working on healing her from on a complete cellular level. Again, her mind is so active and so traumatized that it's constantly hypervigilant and questioning. And so it's best that we don't tell her what actually, how it's done, but that she can expect relief very soon.
So
Full relief very soon.
Is it a matter of her just trusting and being patient right now?
Yes. And lots of self-care and inner child work.
So as she starts to heal the trauma from her past and work on healing her inner child, is that going to assist with her physical healing?
Yes. She's very fragmented right now. And so working with inner child healing will help bring her true identity back to the forefront.
And what are some things that she can do to work on healing her inner child?
More time in nature.
What else?
Working on an inner child workshop that she just signed up for. More music and dancing and playfulness.
What else?
More releasing of tears and grief.
What else?
More time in leisure, just watching or reading a book or watching a movie. Less doing and more just being.
That's probably good advice for a lot of people. Less time doing and more being. Is that right?
Yes. The more she realizes she doesn't need to quantify or qualify or prove or earn love. She doesn't need to earn love in any capacity. She's enough. She's way more than enough. And so it's time to stop trying to achieve and prove. The outside world, she'll never be enough to the outside world, ever. Never. Never was, never will be. But she is more than enough.
So why does the outside world have such a pull on her and just people in general and pulling us away so far from our center, from our divinity? Why are we so drawn to it?
Because this world can be intoxicating.
Is that how it was?
Since there's so much doing going on in the world, there's so much doing. We hypnotize ourselves by all the doing. And the beingness has been forgotten. Life doesn't have to be hard. And those two other lives were not hard. And that's why we showed them to her. And that even in death, it wasn't hard because there was so much love and peace. That's what we want her to have going forward. That's why we showed her those lives. She knows how to do that already. She just forgot.
Her mom left her feeling devastated, abandoned, unloved, disowned, unsupported. Does she still carry any of these feelings on any level of her being?
She does. She feels very sad about the experience that she had, but she's turning a corner because the future self is way more powerful in pulling her forward. And she just doesn't want to carry any of the past forward.
Are you able to, just like you cleaned the house before from the trauma and you used the blower and you swept it out, are you able to do the same thing with regard to any leftover feelings of abandonment, being unloved, disowned, unsupported that she may have remaining from the way she was raised by her mother and treated by her mother?
Yes, we can just, that's a very light, like feathers, or like dust bunnies. So we can just blow those out in the crevices. We're doing that now.
How can Jody be more aware of when her higher self, her higher consciousness is speaking to her versus her ego, versus her fear, or versus her trauma? How can she distinguish between them to get more clarity?
She's going to have to start really listening to her body and first move out the trauma in her body by movement work and exercise slowly. And as she moves that out, she'll be able to listen to her body more and get the answers, not in her head, but in her body. She's almost too smart for her own good. So we can't give her the answers in her head. It's got to be in her spirit and in her body and in her gut.
So are you able to download any sort of program or clear out anything or just give her any sort of upgrade right now to help her try to distinguish better or maybe listen more clearly and know when it's her higher self speaking to her? Are you able to do anything like that?
She can also practice with little questions here and there, but we can increase the intensity of the sensations that she would feel in her body to give her more clarity.
Could you do that now, please?
Yes.
And what about her spirit guides? Do her spirit guides talk to her and try to help her with things in her life?
She doesn't really understand spirit guides. She already has so many internal dialogues going on that until all of that trauma has been fully cleared out and processed out of her consciousness as well, we're not going to bring in any more guides that might confuse her. So she'll be dealing directly with me, her higher power.
What can you tell Jody about the pregnancy that she terminated when she was 21 years old? Was that something that was pre-planned, or what can you tell us about that?
It wasn't pre-planned, but she would have miscarried anyway. So it's like a moot point for us. It's just same.
So was there a soul in that body yet, or was it just a physical body at the time she had the abortion?
It was just a physical body.
So
a
no
male.
soul. Okay.
Soul hadn't been contracted in yet.
So there's no message that she would be able to receive, or is there? Okay.
No, there's no message. She was never supposed to have children in this life.
Okay.
She knew that, though. She knew that very young.
That was part of the plan that she had for herself?
Yep, that was part of the plan.
And she has a very close bond, so to speak, with Jesus or Jeshua. What can you tell us about her relationship with Jeshua, and how can she understand him better?
She's going to have to let go of everything she's heard about from anyone else regarding him and just continue to ask him to reveal himself in her life on a daily basis in a way that she can understand. And that will be her relationship with him and Mary Magdalene. It's not going to come from a book or a church or the Bible or another person. But he is her healer, and he is actively healing her now.
So is it something that she could do is call on Jeshua to continue helping her with the healing process?
Yes, she actually needs to do that. He saw her and heard her screaming and writhing in pain. And although the stories that are told of instantaneous healings, that's not what's available for her here with him right now. It's a process of healing. But she will recover. She is recovered in his eyes. She is, and she will be, and she is going to. It's like there's no time for him. There's no time space. She is healed, period. And the dimension where he is and where we are there is a time there that it needs to go through. And as I said, it's so dense here right now that he is healing her. She is healed in his mind and in his eyes. It's just this plane of existence right now is so dense. It's so contracted that it takes a little bit longer for the healing to get to her than she had expected. She wanted instantaneous. But as I said, the payoff is huge. So she needs to know that. And she's already paid out the majority of the payoff. She's gone through the worst.
So is COVID and the whole disease around it, is that something that she is identifying with too much and she needs to let it go? That was one of her questions before we came on the camera today. She wondered if that was something that she was maybe identifying with too closely.
She was, and then she made a decision late last night to change that. And it's not that she was identifying with it as her identity, that this experience was beginning to corrupt and squash what the future self knows. And because she was so consumed with trying, is so consumed or was so consumed with trying to find answers and solutions, that was actually creating more stress for her and impeding the healing. The doctors do not have the answers for her. They won't have answers for a year. And it'll be too late for her. She won't need their help. She's moving, no, they're not going to be, she's moving past them. They missed their chance. So now she's healing in the spirit realm. And that will be a permanent healing. And it will have no addiction profile, no medication profile. It is a full and complete and total restoration and healing.
Is she able to get a message from Jeshua right now?
I got you.
Wow, I felt the energy in that one.
I feel like I'm going to cry.
It's okay. I felt that energy.
I felt it too. Like I got you, like I got a little baby puppy in my arms. I'm not like I just got her from the pound or a little baby. And I got you. I got you. I got you.
Is she able to get a message from Mary Magdalene?
She just keeps smiling at me and puts her hands on my face and tells me what an example I am. And she'll be there with me during my marriage.
Is that someone that Jody can also call on for guidance or direction? Is she kind of sort of like one of her?
Yes, specifically while dating, because Jody's going to be very confused. She can be very confused. And so the Magdalene will help her soften and relax into the divine feminine.
What kind of lessons did she learn from BDT, and why is there such a connection between the two of them?
There was a definite purpose for him to be in her life. It's not the one that she wanted. they have no further karma together or further requirements from each other.
So what was the lesson that she was supposed to get from being in a relationship with him for all the years that she was? Or what was the reason?
She needed to experience the unconditional love that she felt for him first, so then she could then put it on herself.
Did she put that unconditional love onto herself?
You bet she did.
What about the medications that she's currently taking? How can she get off them, or is that going to happen with her healing process? Or what can you tell us about that?
That's going to happen with her healing process. We want her to know to not be afraid to use them as she's healing right now. The fear will only keep her bound to them. To be able to use them with gratitude, knowing that she's absolutely going to be off them very soon, very easily, no struggle. But that currently right now, while the upgrade in the body and the healing is happening in the body, it is okay to use them wisely, which she is doing. She's not abusing anything.
And what about the problem she has with sleeping? Is there anything you're able to do as her higher self to take away that effect or side effect of whether it's a medicine or the sickness itself, so she can get some rest and some sleep?
So this is a very, very complex issue. Many layers, many layers. It will take time. It will not be painful. It will not be a struggle. It will not be frustrating, as long as she knows that it will take time and it's incremental. And so it won't be the same every day. And if she can get relaxed and be in acceptance, or be pleased that it's not the same, and to experience it as shades of the healing process, but that it's always moving forward. She will have to adjust medications. She will have to change them. She will have to let go of some. She will have to maybe go a night or two without sleep further down the line, when she's physically able to handle that, to reset the sleep pattern. She will also have to do work in her sleep hygiene and how she processes before going to bed. She will have to learn a new way to wind down and prepare for sleep. It will be the most important part of her healing, and it's where the dark energy has hid out, because it knows that that's the key to the healing, is sleep. So this is a complicated and complex issue, one that she can't do alone, but we are right there with her. We are holding her hand through this process. And Jesus won't drop her. Not now. Not now that she's connecting to her body and listening to her body. she will recover from every single symptom that was put on her. And she will have better health than when she started, prior to the pandemic. She will get all her health back and more. Within the next 2 months, she's going to see major changes in her health in a positive way. She is going to be victorious over this. And it will be a silent victory. She won't be boasting about it. She'll just be happy. And for 5 years, she's going to experience happiness and bliss and love. And then she'll write a book. But not before she fully is full to the brim of peace and joy and happiness, security, love, prosperity, groundedness, safety. From that place, she'll be able to look back at all of this and write that book that will help others.
Are you able to increase her vibrational frequency so that the medications and this sickness is no longer an energetic match for her?
Yes, if she's willing. And she is willing. She's terrified by it because she doesn't understand it. But I keep trying to remind her, no more trying to understand. It's not her job. So yes, we will upgrade it now to where the long haul COVID, any past virus, any bacteria, any fungus, any mold, any pathogens, any cancers, any rogue cells, any neurological disorders, anything of that is no longer an energetic match for Jody, nor is victim mentality. It's just not a match. She's not a victim. She's a very victorious woman. She's more than a survivor. She's going to thrive. She's a surf thriver.
And are you also able to increase her energetic frequency so that it vibrates from here on out at the level of optimal vibrant health?
Yes, we can do that. That's just a flick of a switch. We just flicked it on. And then we put an impenetrable glass case around it so that it can never be flicked off. That switch.
So do I need to go into talking about all of the specific symptoms she has, or just does it suffice it to say they're all being healed and have been healed, and they're all going to go away and she's going to get into that optimal, perfect health again?
We'd like to go through the most critical ones and to let her know what she can expect to feel.
Okay. What about the internal vibrations that she's been having in her after she started taking that steroid? What can you tell us about that?
That was nervous system disruption, vagus nerve disruption. And as she continues to do her cold baths, deep breathing, humming and singing, they are almost gone. And she experiences that now.
Is there anything else she can add to that routine?
Meditation, twice a day.
And when you say meditation, do you mean like her finding a guided meditation, just getting quiet and asking her higher self what it is she should be doing? What do you mean when you say meditation for her?
20 minutes of meditation, transcendental meditation, and then 10 minutes of tapping or 20 minutes of tapping a day, EFT. Any combination of that or either or.
And what about her blood pressure not being able to regulate? And she needs a lot of hydration and salt. What can you tell us about this? She calls it POTS.
As her nervous system gets regulated, as she begins to feel safety in her body, these systems will come back into homeostasis. Until then, she needs to know that 64 ounces of water isn't too much, and that prior to this, she was dehydrated, and that she can keep her salt content the way it is, but the hydration needs to continually stay up just for her continued well-being.
And what about the low white and red blood cell counts?
Her diet might need some help. She might need some supplementation from that. Cat's claw is helpful. She's had this before. Again, as the healing continues, the body will bring that up. There is no active infection in her currently. It's just inflammation. If we can say one thing, we are putting out the fire that causes inflammation. So we are taking like a fire extinguisher, and from the top of her head all the way down to her feet, on both sides, front and back, a fire extinguisher extinguishing all the inflammation and restoring all damage that it has done to the nervous system, small fiber neuropathies, the pericardium, her brain, all parts of the brain, hypothalamus, amygdala, hippocampus, pituitary, pineal gland. All of the inflammation from there, we are now letting it just absorb through the body, and then she'll be able to just release it out through her urine.
Are there any supplements that she's taking now that are not in her highest good?
There's so many of them. She's got so many of them. What she needs to do is ask her body if it's okay to take it. And it will give her the answer.
Are you able to recommend, I know you said cat's claw, but are there any others that she might want to be looking at as far as adding to her routine?
NAD plus, intravenous, and orally. And acetylcysteine.
Anything else?
She's going to need to be able to feel comfortable with getting creative with it's as if she's cooking a recipe with her supplements. Just not, she needs to feel not afraid of them and not tied to them too much.
You mean the different supplements that she's taking?
Yes.
And she's hyper allergic to a lot of things. What can you tell us about this? And are you able to decrease that right now for her?
Yes, this is already happening, and she's not fully aware of it yet, but she's becoming less and less reactive. As she introduces more foods into her diet, she'll see that she doesn't react to them. We can remove that for her though, so we will. In time.
Okay. And what about high cholesterol? Are you able to balance out her cholesterol for her?
No, not at the moment.
And what's going to happen with the cholesterol?
It's going to stay high for a bit. They're going to want to put you on medication, but don't take it. This is the one that's going to take the longest to drop down. Continue with the baby aspirin, but the way the endothelial cells are attacked, the high cholesterol is a part of the inflammation. It's very sticky and fatty and plaquey, and it's going to take some chiseling off of her veins to get out. Oatmeal, she can eat oatmeal once a day.
Are you able to do a sort of upgrade in her body right now to, let's say, kickstart this process for her? Of the cholesterol?
Yes, we'd actually like to get her, we'd like to actually upgrade her to where her future self already is so that she can walk easily into that future self.
Okay, can you do that upgrade right now?
Yes.
Okay. How can she best protect herself from getting COVID again or any other sickness for that matter? Is that not going to be an issue for her in the future?
It's not going to be an issue. She's just going to move out of, she's going to be drawn to experiences, people, places, and things in energetic fields and energetic locations that just won't have the density and the saturation of COVID. She'll just move away from it, and it won't be able to chase her because it's looking for willing hosts. And she's just not willing. She's not opening herself up to that. So she's moving away from the danger. Instead of being paralyzed and sitting in it as she was when it came here, she saw it creep over the city in a dark cloud, and she knew. She knew it was going to, like a wave, come over the entire city. But she thought that because she was in her apartment, she'd be safe. She didn't realize she'd already been exposed.
So the woman that she went to have dinner with that night, where she believes she picked up or contracted COVID, is that where she contracted it?
She was exposed then. She was also exposed when she had her colonoscopy. She was also exposed on the subway. It was all around.
So why did she have a feeling that she shouldn't go out to dinner that night with that woman?
She had no idea about any potential. Her body was tired. Her body was tired. She was tired. But she didn't want to cancel and be a flaky friend or disappoint someone. So she just pushed herself and said, just show up. You'll feel better afterwards. And she did feel better afterwards. It was a nice dinner.
But is that an instance, I guess, looking back on it and learning, where she should have probably listened to her gut telling her not to go out to dinner that night? Or was it okay
Yes.
because she had already been exposed? I'm sorry.
No, that if she had not gone to the dinner, she would have listened to her body there. She had been overriding her body's signals for years. So she was going to get it no matter what.
So why did she choose COVID versus some other sickness or disease?
It chose her.
Oh, tell me about that. What does that mean?
A willing and available host.
And how was she willing and available? Do you mean energetically or on a frequency level?
Energetically, she was just open and available and unaware of any danger. There's no one to blame.
And so how does one put themselves at a space or a place energetically where they're not open and available to contracting COVID?
I don't know.
Okay. Are there any other things that would be in Jody's best and highest good to heal, other than the things she's currently, that's currently at the forefront, so to speak? Any beliefs or patterns?
The belief that she needs to struggle or suffer, or that she's not enough in some way, or that she has to be in charge of everything, that she can't fully surrender because it's not safe.
So these are beliefs and patterns that would be in her best and highest good to heal?
Yes.
Are you able, as her higher self, to remove these beliefs from her?
We can, yes.
Could you do that now for her?
Yes.
And are there any particular beliefs or thought patterns or programs that you could download into her subconscious now that would be in her best and highest good?
Abundance consciousness, prosperity consciousness, self-acceptance and self-love, trust in the ability to trust and discern between the ego voice the world's voice, the traumatized voice, and the higher Holy Spirit.
So are you able to download all of those into her now? Into her subconscious?
I don't know if we understand how to download. How does a download work?
Well,
We don't
I guess I
understand that.
mean, put those beliefs into her subconscious, because if they weren't in her subconscious before, we want them in her subconscious so she can pull from them.
Got it. Subconsciously, she knows she's divine and wonderful. This is a remembering for her. This life experience is a remembering. So it just needs to be like if you're on a computer, you just need to open up that file. So we've opened up that file for her to remember the truth about who she is.
I love that. So you opened up that file for her. It wasn't necessarily it needs to be downloaded. It was already there.
Right. That's why we didn't understand. It was like it's already on her hard drive under identity, and we just opened it up and opened up the file.
Okay. And is there any generational healing that you could do for her right now that would have a significant impact on not only her, but her ancestors? And if so, what would that healing be?
Since she has no offspring, the generational healing, she's completed the cycle. And so on a spiritual level, that's all that was needed to have done. It's not necessary for anyone else in her family to receive what she broke generational curses. As they say, the buck stops with her. It stopped.
Are you able to align her vibration to one of victory, self-empowerment, love, peace, and joy right now?
Absolutely. Again, she has that folder in her hard drive, and we will open that up. And we have. Only now, all of that victory is without struggle or quote unquote hard work or pushing. It's just receiving it. As again, she's paid the debt, the cards, she's paid the price, she paid the and the payoff that she's getting is just receiving into ease this new stage in her life. But she has the victory folder already on her hard drive, so I'm opening that one up. She's won many, 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 many times over.
That's so awesome. Are there any other beliefs that she currently has that might be causing problems or blockages in her life that you could tell us about?
That there's a belief that she has that men are scary and dangerous, and that some men are scary and dangerous. And because she's so open and available, allow the belief system is that to not move first. Let this man or any man reveal who they are first. She gets to keep her cards close to the chest now. She has the advantage.
But is there anything negative about that belief that she has regarding men that could be transformed, so to speak, so that it could benefit her instead of cause any sort of problems in her life?
Well, she already walked away from an abusive man in a past life.
Right.
And in this life. So if she's willing, she can let that fear go. See, she has a misconception. She thinks she needs to just be open and available to all things and everyone. But that's not what she needs to do now. Now she can conserve her energy, stay in her peace and her serenity, and just attract that which is that as well. There's no more posturing or flirting or none of that. That's all of this world. That's the dense energy of, no, that's not what she's going to experience. She's going to experience something that she's never experienced before, but that she knows. Because the future self has already told her it's here, waiting to be received and accepted by her.
So, what can you tell her as far as being able to talk more and get encouragement and hope and direction from her future self? Is there any guidance or advice you can tell her?
Just to know that it's real. It's not a joke. She'll get there sooner than she thought. It's not decades away. Month, 2, 3, by the end of the year.
Are you able to, and again, I'm using the word download, but however you see that, whether it's opening a folder or what it may be, she would like to have Creator's definition of an exquisite life opened in her, downloaded in her, and the belief that she deserves to live an exquisite life. Can you do that for her?
Yeah, so again, she does have that folder on there. She's actually never opened it before. So we were waiting for a time as this to open it. So we're going to open it. And it's quite a big folder. So it is going to, it will need to download onto the desktop of her hard drive.
So are you able to start that process of that download?
Yeah, it's going to take about an hour, and then it will open up, and then it will be available.
And how is that going to change her life once that's fully open and downloaded or opened into her for her life to use?
She's going to feel very confused at first and disoriented, and she's going to need to drink a lot of water and sleep as much as possible and rest for the next 3 to 4 days, and to not talk about this process, and to just be in it. Get to nature.
When you say not talk about it, do you mean that, like I usually do, is have some sort of summary at the end of this? Do you mean her and I talk about it, or do you mean her talk about it with anyone else?
Other people. She needs to keep this experience while it percolates in her. While all of this, I mean, there's so much information where she's asking for a lot, and we're more than happy to give it to her. But we also know she is in the physical body, and it's quite a large amount of reorganizing. That takes a lot of energy on the physical body. And so, because she's ready to have that healing, and she so desperately wants it, but we can't just explode it at her all in one time in one day. So it's going to take time. There's going to be shifts and things like that. It's all going, nothing to be afraid of and nothing painful, but it will feel disorienting. We are letting go of a lifetime of belief systems and misinterpretations. And so we're just asking her to, for the next 3 or 4 days, not discuss this with anyone outside of the practitioner who's doing this today.
Okay. Is there one
We,
thing? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
it needs to take root in her. And if any other belief system is challenging it, then it will take longer for her to integrate this new information. This process is hers and hers alone at this point for right now.
Is there any type of other therapy or anything like that that would help her right now as she goes forward with her healing process? Or is this more of just like an internal thing for her?
She could look into EMDR. She could also look into ketamine for PTSD.
And then you mentioned earlier about her having a different routine before she falls asleep. What would be a great routine before she falls asleep? Before we started this session today, she talked about being on some sort of app and that it disturbed her, and listening to doctors talking about COVID. So what would be a good bedtime routine for her to wind down so that she can have better sleep?
Okay, so this will be in stages and in bits and pieces, and it's intricate. The temperature in her room needs to be adjusted. Her earplugs, she will need to get ones that block out more sound. She will need to listen to soothing music. She will need to get off the computer 2 hours by 9 o'clock at night. And that also means phones by 9:30. She can watch a show or a movie, but it must be something that she's either already seen so she knows how it's going to end, or something uplifting and cheerful and lightweight. And the same with if she reads anything.
Anything else?
Probably go get that other vape pen that's not the medication, that's not the THC, that's not so strong. Get a less one that's cut with the CBD oil. That could help her. But she also needs to not worry about whatever it is she needs to do to get sleep at this current moment, because it will change. If she continues to listen to her body will tell her, and she'll be able to adjust. She can trust herself through this process.
Are you able to, so to speak, open her ears, not physical, but open her ears in a way that she can hear her body speaking to her even more clearly than ever before?
The sensations that she feels are getting very clear. They were clear they were dim prior to her getting COVID, but then they got very loud, and she overrode them a couple of times, and now she feels it strongly. It's in her chest and in her stomach and in her gut.
So she doesn't need that type of increase in those sensations or ability to be able to hear. She's doing a good job with that right now. Is that what you're saying?
It might be a good thing if the experience for her was one of pleasure, where when she knew it was the right decision, she immediately felt a release of stress.
So are you able to do that for her?
Yes.
To give her that feeling of pleasure? Okay, could you do that now for her, please?
Okay.
Does she have any trapped emotions in her body anyplace?
She has a lot of fear up in her chest. She has fear right now.
Are you
She
able to
had,
release it for her?
yes, yes,
Could you do that now for her?
yes.
And what else?
There's grief and rage and pain in her hands.
Are you able to release that from her right now?
We can, yes.
Could you do that now for her, please?
Okay. She doesn't really believe this is going to work. I just want to let you guys know that. She doesn't really believe that this will work. So there's a lot of fear there that this won't work.
The removing of the trapped emotions?
That the whole process of healing through having me say, yes, we can do this for her, she doesn't really believe that it will happen. It's never happened this way for her before.
So it's something new, and so she's having a hard time believing it?
Exactly, yeah.
Why is the resistance there? Just because it's new?
Exactly. She's never experienced it before.
Even though when her and I were talking during her intake that this is going to become this type of thing, this type of self-healing and using your higher self is going to become the new normal?
She doesn't remember, but it's new, yeah. But for her right now, at this moment, it's a new reality.
What's going to help increase her faith in her ability to use her higher level of consciousness, her higher self, to experience healing and releasing of trapped emotions? What could help her? Would it be reading? Because I've been diligently typing notes here, looking at my computer, typing all kinds of notes of everything that's being said, and we have the recording and we have the video. Is reading through these notes repeatedly, listening to the recording, will something like that, will that help increase her faith in it? Or is there something else?
Time. She'll just need to experience it. We want her to know that because she needs to experience something to believe, it doesn't mean that she's lacking in faith. It's good for her to not have blind faith. It's wise for her not to have blind faith at this point in her journey. It's totally in alignment for her to wait for it to show up and then to believe. She doesn't need to be anything other than where she's at. She's exactly on point. She doesn't need to be a manifester, a channeler, a psychic. She doesn't need to be any of that. That's not part of her calling here. She is here to experience heaven on earth. And then she's done here. She's not coming back. That's why there's no children.
And what do children have to do with coming back? Does that tie people to Earth more than if you don't have children, or what is the reason for that? Or is it just in her particular case?
Lineage.
Okay. What's she going to go on and do next?
Whatever she wants.
Ah.
And she hasn't made up her mind. But she has the full spectrum. So she can choose to stay in the peace, in the bliss, as her other two lives. Or she may choose to come back again. But she'll read that agreement over and over again before she lands to make sure she knows what she's getting into.
So I think you kind of answered this earlier. Is it common for us to plan a life before we come down here and incarnate on Earth, but then things to go wonky or get off course before we actually get here?
There are things that she wanted to experience here, so excited to do and to experience. And yes, things do go off course here. However, course correction is always available.
And does the course correction take place on a soul level or on a conscious level or a little bit of both? Or does it depend on the person?
It's both. It's both. Speaking for Jody, we don't know what other people, what their experience is.
Okay. And does she have any other trapped emotions in her body?
So the terror, the PTSD, and this is why the ketamine would be helpful. We can release the PTSD from the COVID experience, and we are more than happy to release that. And we also want her to know that if she feels that it's not enough of a release, she can explore other alternatives of EMDR or ketamine. But we feel confident that we can release this from her. But it really just depends on how hard her grip is.
So whether or not she fully believes that it's happening to her right now, are you able to release the PTSD and the terror?
We can start to unload that. It's incredibly dense and dark and heavy. It's like tons of weight. So it will take time. And that's why we other outside things will help move that along. It's very heavy. She experienced severe trauma in a very short period of time. It's the kind of trauma that most likely would kill most people.
But you've started that process for her?
Yes. The acknowledgement that it's there and that it's the understanding that it's a very huge load. Again, huge price to pay, huge payoff. As I said, this kind of severe terror and trauma that she experienced would kill most people.
If there was one sentence that she could have right now as an affirmation, what would it be for her to help her in the best way?
It's very simple. She's going to laugh at it. I am happy.
And how did Jody actually find me? I mean, TikTok was just a vehicle that was used, but how did she really find me? What attracted her and I into the same space?
Her willingness to heal, her courage to reach out, her open mind, and her willingness to accept that what she had been doing for the last year hadn't been working as far as healing. Traditional medical world have no answers for her. None. Zero. Absolutely none. And they all admit it now. So it was out of desperation.
So was it like an energetic signal that I sent out that she picked up on? Or I guess I'm trying to figure out how that connection whole kind of took place.
We remember her finding laughter and lightness on TikTok. And honestly, we don't remember how this all happened because it happened very fast.
So if she takes everything that she's been told here today by you, her higher self, and puts it into practice and really integrates it and allows the integration to happen, how is her life going to be different?
We don't want to give her expectations or a trip up for her. So we want to just to remind her that it is happening already. It is she doesn't need to question or wonder if it's not going backwards. She is going forwards towards her future self. And that she is on track to get there exactly on time. There is no delay. And that this healing process is happening. And that she just needs to stay focused on what's in front of her, not what's behind her. And to remember that the doctors are not the authorities. They don't know what they're dealing with. And to take everything they say with a lightness, and if it's not the answer, to just dismiss it. They do not know. They are not educated. They are not clued in as to what happened to people who've gotten COVID. And by the time they figure it out, those that have been waiting will have suffered longer. That's not Jody's path. She's not here to suffer anymore. It's done.
Have some people chosen a path of suffering longer?
Some people don't know there's another option.
And what do you mean by another option? An option to not suffer? They just accept it?
Again, the density of this plane of existence. If you're suffering and in pain, and you don't know to go look for lightness and laughter. See, Jody was looking for laughter on TikTok and she stumbled upon you. She got herself out of the dense, dark, painful energy for a split second to just raise her vibration. There are those that are suffering right now that don't know that they don't know there's another option. They don't know that if they can step out of the suffering for a minute and look for some laughter or joy or fun or peace or lightness, that might give them a different option. So if Jody continues to look for light and laughter and fun and peace and nature and comfort and pleasure, then she'll get more and more of the alternative answers to her questions that will help her, because she has spent 14 months asking the same questions over and over to an entire social structure that can't help her.
Oh, so this is a very cliche thing. It's very much around here. So if you can't expect to get something different if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. Is that right? You need to kind of break up from that.
And that's no judgment on those that don't know. It's not a question of intelligence. It's a question of education.
So in the future, you said that Jody would end up writing a book about her experience and finding her way out of this darkness and healing this stuff. Is she going to be a voice of hope for others in some respect that way?
Very much so. More than anything, she'll be a source of encouragement, of kindness, of compassion, but again, her sole purpose here is not to be of service to others. And that's what she thought it was. She thought it was that she was here to serve others. She did that. She has done that. She is here to experience heaven on earth. So it's in the experiencing of that she is fulfilling her soul contract here.
So just basically following anything and everything that brings her bliss and joy so she can experience that heaven on earth. That's her purpose.
That's her purpose. And she is visible enough that people will see that. And in seeing that, they will know that it is an option for them because they will know her story. She doesn't have to spend hours teaching courses. Nope. They just need to know it's possible. But how they get there is their journey.
That's awesome.
And that is very different than what this world, because this world is about serve the world. That's not what she's here to do. She served the world. She served things, purposes. She's been of service in this life. She's been of service in past lives. But to experience it, heaven on earth, that is what she's supposed to do. And it will last a long time for her. until she decides to leave.
Are there any final messages that you want to give to Jody? Anything else that you can say that will help her in her best and highest good before we end the session?
She needs to know she didn't do anything wrong. She's not at fault. She's not in trouble. She's not being punished. She's not being stalked. She's not in any danger, future or present. She can start to adopt the mindset and the energetic vibration of her future self that she sees waving to her right now. And she can use her future self in meditation to draw her closer and closer to actually being her future self. Energetically. Now, so that it makes the walking towards the future self that much more exciting and fun. We are in the business of fun right now. The suffering is over. It's time to have fun. And we love you. You're perfect, Jody Britt. You're perfect.
Are we good to end this session now, or is there anything else you'd like to say?
We just want to let her know that any glitches and bumps in the road we can handle. She just needs to ask. For example, she feels a numbness in her feet and her left foot. She just needs to ask to have that healed. She does not have to work so hard at healing.
And I just thought of one more question before we end. So yesterday when we were doing the intake, Jody basically spoke from what she, I believe, knew was her being completely tapped into her higher consciousness, her higher self. What can you tell us about that, and how can she do that more often?
It'll take take much practice. Okay, let's slow it down. Okay, she's not ready to do that right now. That's not her job right now. There's so much energy being taken to heal that all she has to do right now is to just relax into the healing as if she were a little girl. And all she had to do is just stay home from school and watch cartoons and eat ice cream with the assuredness that, yes, she's going to be better. And so that is her only job right now, is to just relax into the healing process. And she will hear the higher self, more clearly as she comes off of the medications. And we just want her to know that it's okay that she's on them right now, but it does make the frequency a bit glitchy sometimes. So it's best that she not try to channel her higher self, but to listen to the promptings in her body and know that that is the way that I'm speaking to her right now. She will be able to have conversations more clearly later on after the effect of the medications and the full and complete healing has taken place, which, as I said, 2 or 3 months max.
Anything else?
We love her. She's our favorite girl.
So now I'm asking the subconscious to recede back to where it belongs, the higher self, with much love and much thanks for the help and information that it's been giving Jody today. All so now I just brought you back to this time and this place for a little recap.
Wow.
And you started laughing hysterically when I told you what time it was.
Well, because I had no idea that it would be 4 hours would go by like in a blink of an eye. That was
Well, so
wild.
we were outside of time and space. Do we need to take a little restroom break before we
Yes,
do our
yes, that would be
recap?
great. Yeah,
Okay, so let's do that. I'll pause the recording and then we'll come back.
great. Okay.
Okay, we're back. The session is over.
Oh, you know what? We lucked out. My phone, my computer's about to crash. I thought I had it plugged in.
Oh, that got
Oh,
lucky.
you know what? That's so funny because, well, now I'm upside down.
So Jody and I lost the connection. It just so happens that after we had just finished her session, her computer was about to die and her internet completely crashed. So I actually have her on the phone with me here right now. We're going to do her summary, kind of just touching base afterwards on the phone. So I'm sorry, no one will be able to get part of that and hear that, but we're just going to recap on what happened and I'm going to get her impressions of everything that happened. So I just wanted to give everyone an idea and thank you to Jody for being such a willing participant to let everyone observe her intake session and her hypnosis session so you could see kind of what you get out of a higher self hypnosis session. Of course, it's different for every person, but that was hers and I think it was pretty darn amazing.